Welcome back to Market Pros. All right, so here we got Bitcoin on Bybit on the weekly. As you can see, your momentum is still pretty bearish. I mean, we're still heading down on the RSI, deep in the bearish control zone below that signal line. MACD, negative momentum is increasing still. You did have a retest and resumption down. Your retest was right here, basically in the middle of this dump. Now, your moving averages, your 21 did cross your 50. All right, and they are heading down to what is going to be the 100. The 100 actually already got broke. So now we are quite a bit below the 100. We are below all these points of previous support, turn resistance. And now we're waiting to see whether this bounce carries on more or whether we just roll over from here. Your vol is just now starting to get up to the top of the lower zone. So this move, I think, is just getting started. Now, whether that's to the upside or the downside is irrelevant because that doesn't dictate which direction it goes. So I guess it's not really irrelevant, but you know what I mean. It's irrelevant when it comes to the BBWP. So we would expect some volatility to continue. Now, one thing I do want to check out is this long-term chart. All right, so as you can see here, I do got these moon cycles on here. I've been playing around with them a little bit. I've heard people talk about them, and I thought it was like really crazy. But it seems like they have a pretty good hit rate. It's really weird. So on your weekly, no, it's the monthly. I want to talk about your monthly accumulation distribution. Now, we have not had a reversal until we got into the red zone and then changed directions. Into the red zone, change directions. Into the red zone, change directions. We are not in the red zone just yet. That's one of the things that makes me feel like we still have downside. You did have your monthly cross. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago. Your negative momentum is still increasing on the monthly. Now, we have 16 days and 12 hours, so 16 and a half days left on this candle. Now, another thing I want to point out is when you have broken the 21 on the monthly, you have came down and tested the 50. Broke the 21 on the monthly, came down, tested the 50, actually wick below it. We have not tested the 50, and the 50 is at 21,500 to 22,000. So that's what another thing that's making me think that we go a little lower, plus the accumulation distribution indicator, plus the fact that we haven't even printed a light red bar on the histogram on the MACD. Now, let's zoom in a little bit to the daily. Or hold on, we want to go back on this other chart. All right, so here we are on the daily. Come on, trading view. All right, there we go. So, our momentum. All right, so right now, I mean, this looks like a bounce. I mean, and it just looks like a bounce. Now, this bounce could take us up, possibly even to 34. My levels that I'm looking at is 32,500, 34, and 35. 35. Those are the levels I'm looking at for a potential bounce. Now, let's take a fib from the top of here to the low. Okay, so our 236 comes in a little bit above the 382. So we'll come back to the fibs because a lot of this could get front ran. We got fib resistance in between here at 33,250, and then we could even get a wick up here. If we do get to 35, we could bounce up, get a wick up to the 382, maybe get rejected from there. By the way, if you guys are liking this content, like and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, check out our links in the Discord in the description below, one being the Discord. Another thing is if you guys haven't noticed, sometimes I'll pause during these analyses, and that's because I do this off the cuff. I'm not like other channels where they take notes, already have the plan set out. I do this right off the cuff. I'll notice things like the day before, and that's, like the accumulation distribution. I'll notice that stuff the day before, and that's when I'll bring it up in the next day's analysis. So here on the daily, we're deep in the bearish control zone still. MACD looks like the negative momentum is decreasing, and you're getting a turnaround on the MACD. Now, whether that's just a test of that signal line would mean that we could come up somewhere in between here, in between 32,500 and 34. Your vol is high. Your BBWP is printing a dark red bar. And let's move on down to the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, it looks like we could be forming some sort of ascending triangle. We'll find out. If it does, the measured move would be somewhere around 32,700. So basically at the top of this purple box. And it could get front ran, which would mean that we would stop here at this purple box that we've had drawn. We have exited the bearish control zone on the 4-hour. We are above the neutral median line, above that signal line. MACD positive momentum is still increasing, and we're raising sharp up to towards that 0 line. Vol is heading down as we kind of go sideways. Now, what we don't want to see here, if you're bullish, is this just be a lower high, and then us break back down below 29,500. If that happens, I would expect us to come back down here and retest the lows at 27,600 region. Now, validation of the upside would be to get a 4-hour closure above this wick. I'd even like to see us get above, well, if we get above this wick, I would expect some sort of minor rejection, maybe come back down and retest this level at 3650. But if we can get above 31K, I would expect us to get up to the top of this purple region at 32,500. Let's move down to the 1-hour. So here on the 1-hour, we're basically sideways consolidating as of now. We do have support level. All right, so that's basically where that ascending triangle comes in. So if we do break this last low at 29,500, that would invalidate that ascending triangle. And I would expect a small bounce here at 28,700. And in between 28,700 and 28,200, I would expect a bounce. Let's go ahead and put a box for our bounce area. I would expect a bounce from there, but ultimately I think we would come back down and retest the low. Now, if we break this at 26, basically 200, I would expect 24K to come into play. I would expect us to make a new low, backfill this wick, all that. On the 1-hour, your momentum is coming up to the bullish control zone. So if we can get up here a little bit, I would expect a minor rejection, possibly come back down to the 21, and then head up and finish this bounce off. Now on your MACD, fresh retest and resumption up. Positive momentum is increasing on the histogram. Vol seems to be expanding as your BBWP is in the lower zone, but it's heading up. So we talked about invalidation and validation levels. Basically, we are in a range. We're going to go ahead and put another box here. This is our range. So watch the range. If you break to the upside, 32,500 to at minimum, I think. Break to the downside, basically back down to the lows at 26K. Possibly get a wick down lower, find out whether it's a double bottom. If we do break that low on a 4-hour closure, even a 1-hour closure below 26,200, I would expect 24,000. So yeah, those are my thoughts for Bitcoin. Everyone have a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, and I will see you in the next one.